Hello, and welcome to the Black Dice Society, episode 22. Valentine. You snap back to consciousness. The previous moments, hours, days, a complete and total blur. The signature black liquid from your eyes has run completely down your face, and you can tell something has happened. And as you look around the room, you see familiar faces and totally unfamiliar surroundings. You are in a stone lab of some sort. There are walls lined with bookshelves, tomes, scrolls, flasks, and a device that bears a shocking resemblance to the apparatus you saw in Bloodspur. Your friends are there. Finn, Brother Uriah, Tatiana, Desmond, Nahara, even the Weather May Foxgrove twins are diligently working, hooking up someone to this machine, and it takes a moment for your eyes to realize what you're seeing. It's Nika. She's there, and they're about to put her into the apparatus.
I run and I stop them really quick to get close to her to see her. What
Valentine.
It was real, you were here.
You're here too.
I don't know how I got here.
Everyone showed up and you were being puppeted for a time being, but you're back.
A lot more surprising that you are. Oh my God. Oh, Are you okay?
I'm all right. I found a routine. Modern's not that, well, it's not wonderful, I will say that, but I managed to find a friend and make myself something of a home here, and then suddenly Desmond is finding me in the orchard.
We can get you back. We can. I don't know how any of us are going to get home, but you can come with us. Tatiana and I only have a home to go to if you were there.
Whatever you did, whatever you had to do, you said you would do it and you're doing it.
If I reach out my hand, does Nika have like a corporeal form, or?
No, she very much looks like what you saw in your vision. She looks real enough, although clearly dead. And as you reach out to touch your friend, your hand passes completely through her.
I think this thing will work. It's what they did to me.
This is what you went through.
I wasn't awake like you are.
That's going to make things interesting.
Yeah. I just kind of look around to the party and take a step back, trying to center myself as to what I must have missed. I'm sorry I wasn't here when you got here. When we got here,
No,
I'm sorry.
No, you have nothing to apologize for. You got back here. You said you would come back for me, and you did.
Of course. I can't say I'm not a liar, but I wouldn't lie to you.
Never. And if this is what it takes, then this is what it takes. And we'll see. And maybe get back to Kashmar sometime and try again. I don't know. Thank God it's you.
Thank God it's you. I'll just kind of step back to let them continue the process.
And with that, hello and welcome to the Black Dice Society, episode 22. I jumped in and sank. I had you all temporarily muted. Let me unmute it because now I get to monologue. Before we begin, as always, this is a Ravenloft game, which means it is a horror game. As such, we may encounter concepts and content that you don't normally encounter in Dungeons and Dragons games. As always, I am aware of the cast lines and veils. We have a safety system in place behind the scenes for somebody to let me know if they're feeling uncomfortable. So if a scene should ever switch suddenly, even switch mid-sentence, that is why, and everybody feeling safe and comfortable is what is most important. With this firmly in mind, let us meet our deluxe cast that has taken 21 episodes to find their ways back together again, starting with our newly awakened Valentine.
Hi, my name is Sage Ryan, but tonight I am your deeply emotional, very rare Valentine. Valentine is a reborn aberrant mind sorcerer, and we both use she, her pronouns.
And Nika.
Hi everyone, I'm V Muse. Tonight I'm playing Voronika Naprastayanka. She is an Eladrin druid, and our pronouns are both she and her.
And Desmond.
Oh, hi, I'm DJ Knight. I am playing Desmond, your human ranger lycanthrope. Our pronouns are he, him. Thank you all for being here.
And Tatiana.
That is I, Tatiana, played by Becca Scott. What's up? Tatiana and Becca, both she, her. And I am an Air Genasi barbarian with really good, solid Russian accent. But it is not Russian, it is Kashmir, and we all know this.
Because there is no Russia. So there you go. I will just say as an aside, whenever people like really sweat fantasy accents and they're like, oh, my Italian accent is terrible, I'm like, good news. There's not in Italy. So those people talk like you decide to talk. Mazel, enjoy. Finn.
Hello, I'm Tanya, known as Cryptier around the internet. I play Finn, your draw down pure blood hunter, with a little bit of the beast in her, and my pronouns of all expense are she, her.
Nahara.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nora Ibrahim. You could find me everywhere on the internet at Noralogical. And tonight I play Nahara. Both my pronouns and my character's pronouns are she, her. And she is here for all of your Taroka deck needs. She is a reborn fallen Azamar undead bardlock and just sunshine and rainbows.
Again, friends, if you've been with us when the Taroka deck has come out, those have not been coordinated. The cards truly have known.
They do not lie.
Every single time. And last but not least, Brother Uriah.
Hello, I'm Mark Meir. I use he, him pronouns, as does my character, Brother Uriah Macabre, cleric of the grave and worshiper of Ezra, Lady of the Mists, and also apparently a clone of Aslan Rex.
Who'da thunk, right? Before we begin, as always, thank you. Please like, comment, share when you're watching these videos. It really does help us. It really does influence the algorithm. We really do appreciate it. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Die Hard Dice. I believe the individual character palettes are all sold out, but the general cast set, which I have buried here next to me, it's black and gold. It's really neat. It's still available, and you can still use code BDS at checkout to get 10% off all the other incredible stuff that they have at Die Hard Dice. Our TeePublic store is live. We have shirts, bags, masks, pillows. Again, I've been wearing my mask to all of our get-togethers now that we get back together again. Got to represent for the clan. Anything you want, link should be popping up in chat. Secret Lab chairs, again, you know I love mine. It's like riding around in the den. They are fantastic, especially if you're a bigger person, but they got all kinds of different sizes, so check that out. And if you think about purchasing one, please think about using our affiliate link. Idle Champions, our Idle Champions code should be showing up because I did have it set up this time. Let me rephrase, I did my part this time. It should be there. If it doesn't show up, let me know. We'll get it dropped in chat as always, but type in exclam code. Hopefully it should be seamless. Again, thank you to Beatles and Grimm's. They sent us our deluxe Van Richten set, which are incredible. Nahara's eerily accurate Taroka deck came out of the Curse of Strahd. They don't miss. Out of the deluxe edition, the amulet that we've got, a lot of really cool props and things that just add a whole nother layer of richness to your game. Of course, we still have some of our prints available. If you type in !BDS art, they are museum quality art prints. And a portion of every sale goes to world builders. So you can have something dope and help put an end to global hunger. Last thing, pretty sure it's the last thing, we do have our Patreon. We are this close. I think we're $130 from our next goal to do another full-length episode. So we're right there. Patreon.com/The Black Dice Society, where you can get our exclusive after show. I just posted a new DM tips video this week. We have our character side adventures. We've done one for Nahara. We've done one for Tatiana. We did Desmond and Brother Uriah on an adventure all on their own. We're scrambling to get another one in the can this month. If schedules will line up, might just be the 2 drop next month, but check it out. Patreon.com/The Black Dice Society. And with all of that being said, on with our show. One last bit of housekeeping before we dive in properly to our story. The Idle Champions code, which we will put in chat here, but I had to say out loud this time, is Evos Jedi Sura is the code. Evos Jedi Sura. Again, as a proud Sith American, of course, I didn't want to have to post that, but here we are. The second thing, very special thanks to Stormcrow Tavern that sent us some of these really exquisitely hand-carved steins that are incredible. I put it up on my Twitter. Had to give a special shout out to Stormcrow Tavern. Thank you so very much for that. And now, on with our story. Here, inside the Weathermay Foxgrove's family's hidden laboratory, and you all came into Mordant pursuing your friend Nika, who you found exactly where you were told by Zabilna the Archfey she would be. She offered to introduce you to her good friend Rudolph, and when you arrived at Rudolph Van Richten's herbalist shop, you were greeted not by the famous monster hunter and sage, but by your old friends Jennifer and Laurie, the Weathermay Foxgrove twins. After some interactions with them, trying to find out a way that you might be of some assistance to your friend Nika, helping her get out of Mordant, they took you to an area of the Weathermay estate that was off limits to them as little girls, that they suspected hid a secret of some kind, but even they were not 100% sure what it was. A very pleasant and well-meaning bird helped you realize, Gladys, helped you realize that there was an invisible guardian of some sort standing watch, which you all found to be Tintalus, which was one of Lord Aslan Rex's former imps. Apparently, Aslan had been here before and left Tantalus behind. Brother Uriah, through perhaps a level of insight that even he did not want to admit, was able to replicate the Great Lich enough to talk his way past Tantalus and gain access to this hidden alchemical workshop on the Weathermay Foxgrove land. Down inside, as stated before, there is a much smaller but seemingly functional replica of the apparatus. Many of you have had visions of this device now, including a version of it that was in Blutspur. It seems the power of the actual apparatus is nigh unlimited, so who knows what this one may be capable of. It is clearly very old and been here for a very long time. You all struck upon the plan that if Nika's spirit could be somehow invested into an object, that you might be able to carry her out of Mordant. And we're proceeding with the plan to instill her spirit into Desmond's sword. Originally, he wanted her placed in the wolf's tooth that he never removes. And Jennifer seemed very adamant, do not put her spirit into that. And shortly before the switch could be pulled, as the preparations were being made, Valentine snapped back to consciousness, and the exchange that just took place, you all witnessed. And here we are now. The Weathermay Foxgroves are continuing their preparations. Tantalus is sitting on a nearby bookshelf, watching his former master for any sign of approval, and you all are together.
A point of order. Don't forget about Gladys the bird.
I did mention Gladys the bird.
Cool.
I just perhaps I didn't speak properly when I spoke of Gladys. But yes. Gladys is still flying around outside doing bird things. As you
What's that
all.
voice?
That is Gladys, who was very helpful to them on their way in.
I
Yes.
have made a friend, Valentine. There's so much to tell you. Most importantly, I made a bird friend.
You think that's most important of these things? That's
There's a lot, and it's all equally important.
Valentine, are you all right? You're not injured, are you?
no, I'm confused and relieved. That's all.
Yes. You were absent, but your associate Tregram was, shall we say, operating your physical form.
He pulled your strings like marionette in circus.
And what did he do?
Shameful things. Walked around like he didn't know how to use a head. Nahara had to hold your head up for
What?
I just mage hands to keep you properly upright.
Excuse me, in my defense, I have never been bipedal. I did my very best, Lady Valentine. I just knew you would not want them to have to return to the carnival for your sake.
What the hell happened?
Who are you asking?
We were hoping you could answer that.
Yes. Where were you when you weren't in yourself?
I don't remember anything.
I see.
I-
That's a bit
Uriah.
troubling, isn't it?
Uriah, you told me she would be fine. She was not fine.
Well. I mean, physically, she was fine. She suffered no injury, but I didn't know where her mind was any more than apparently she does.
Valentine, I was very
nothing in
scared.
between. There was nothing in between then and now.
I see. But perhaps there was merely some sort of delay on the astral plane. You getting back to your physical self.
I don't know. But I feel like I missed a lot.
This is very troubling.
There's also a more upsetting possibility that we do know that your shall we say employer is capable of erasing memories. Perhaps there was something that it didn't want you to know.
Oh,
I'm sorry, it's pure conjecture on my part.
Yeah.
I tend to see the worst possible scenario.
It's all worth considering. Thank you, Brother Uriah. I will, I'll try to see if I can remember anything. Focus in on it.
Oh, and one other thing. Do you see that imp sitting on the stack of books over there?
Yes?
He is under the impression that I am Aslan Rex, King of Darkon, and it probably would be best if we allow him to continue thinking that.
Understood. Whatever got us here.
Yes.
Jennifer, whether May Foxgrove, recall of the twins, Jennifer is the more scientific minded and Laurie is the more physical, although they are both capable warriors in their own way. Jennifer is moving around, adjusting tubes and connecting hoses, and stops and looks at you, Valentine, and says, I could take a look if you'd like. I could perhaps inspect is the wrong word, but perhaps see if I can in any way assist your memory loss.
I should warn you that anything that would attempt to enter my mind would be dangerous for you.
Right. Perhaps maybe I could just mix up some herbs or a potion that might at least make you more comfortable, I suppose.
Yes, please.
She sort of turns and just kind of puts her hands on her hips, looking at the apparatus and says, well, full disclosure, I've never actually gotten to work with one of these, but I've read extensively about it, and I believe it is properly calibrated to do what it is that you are wishing. And Laurie speaks up and she says, excuse me, Nika, something that's been truly troubling me. Why a sword?
If it can't be his necklace, then it's his sword. The sword he uses in battle. The sword he keeps by his side. The sword that sees him through thick and through thin. The sword that is able to do what I, in my life, couldn't. If I can be bonded with that sword, if I could somehow help him, then it's the sword.
You see Laurie reaches out like she's going to put a hand on your shoulder and recalls that she can't and just puts the hand on the hilt of her sword and says, that I understand. Well, anything else before we give this a go?
I had a question.
Both Laurie and Jennifer look at you. Jennifer has put those magnifying spectacles that she can turn in and back on, so her eyes are about this big as she's working, but they just turn and look at you. Yes, Desmond.
When I suggested my necklace, there was an instantaneous never. Essentially, don't do that. Nothing about that's a good idea. And I don't know why, but it seems like you do.
Jennifer takes the glasses off and she sets them to the side and she says, Desmond, I believe you and I have had a tumultuous relationship, but have come to a certain place of understanding. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
Then I will be as honest with you as I can. If I tell you why I reacted in such a manner, it will pose a calamitous problem for you that you cannot focus on right now. And she motions to Nika. It would only serve to dull your blade.
There are very few things that could even remotely dull my blade. But I feel like you may be right in that now is not the time, but this is not something that I'm going to forget. My father was very close to me, still is very close to me as far as I'm concerned. And I have a lot to learn.
I promise you, I swear to you, that when you have completed this mission, this rescue mission, when we meet again, I will tell you absolutely everything, including your family's true connection to the miss. Okay?
Esmond's just stunned, but just okay.
She just sort of nods and puts the glasses back on. And Lori leans over to you and she says, I'm not the thinker. I'm not the philosopher out of the family. I'm a bit of a blunt instrument, really. But I appreciate your wisdom. I wish I could be more like you, Desmond.
How? In what way?
If our roles were reversed, I would blindly push through, assume I could take anything. Yes, give it to me, give it to me. No, my sister is correct here. I believe you found out about our family's relationship with lycanthropes. Yes, I believe your brother Uriah had some insight.
Yes.
Our two clans go back much farther than either of us.
Fair point.
Jennifer turns and looks and she's like, ahem, I believe we were at a good place. We weren't discussing we'd come back. I believe I swore I would tell him later. And Jennifer's like, oh, yes, yes, yes. Do you need anything? Nika, she looks at you. Anything you'd like to say or a moment before I, of course, we've taken every precaution, but this machine is arcane at best and unused for some time.
She'll look at Valentine. If I don't make it out of this, get out of here.
You can know if this isn't it, then there has to be another way.
If for some reason this doesn't work and you can move on, please.
Nika, what if I can't move on?
What if I need you to?
Nothing else for me. I don't have any reason to get back otherwise. Tatiana's here too. That's everyone. These people are it now, and half of them live here. And I don't think they even like me very much, to be honest. So.
It's not true.
You're always the exception, Tatiana.
Everyone liked Valentine.
I'm here. I don't have any issue with you. Just throwing it out there just to sprinkle it in.
Hope this works.
It has to.
Veronica, this is just another hello, not goodbye. And she rushes to do like an embrace again.
And
Every time.
yep, your hands pass seamlessly through her. She looks solid enough until you reach out to touch her. From across the room, you all hear, ahem, my lord.
Oh, me? Yes. 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 I I am your lord. I am Aslan Rex, you know.
Yes, you and Count von Zarovich put quite a lot of effort into locating this apparatus or facsimile of it. You seem unwilling to move forward. His master, and he flits over and his little wings fly closer where he lands on a nearby table. Is your plan to allow this ghost to test it, see if her soul is eradicated first, and then make use of the apparatus for yourself?
Who are you to question the will of Aslan Rex?
Oh, I've forgotten myself. The time here has dulled my wits and senses. I apologize.
Yes, it's all right. I certainly forgive you, for you have been here for many years, decades, centuries.
When you say that, he stops and looks at you, and his eyes narrow. You forgive me?
Merely a figure of speech. Do not tempt my wrath, lest I smite you with my powers. Yeah.
All of you give me insight checks.
18.
17.
19.
18.
That is a 21.
Ben is not very insightful. That is only a 10.
Finn's mind is elsewhere. Nika?
16.
Pretty much everybody, except Finn, which there's 100 places your mind could be at this exact moment. Up to and including recalling what Zabilna said to you about all of this and her connection to this woman.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of you, however, realize Tintalus, this imp, suspects something. Before now, he was bowing and scraping for Lord Aslan Rex, but this minor show of compassion has immediately alerted him that, like, wait a second, forgiveness, that's not a thing Aslan does.
Now, when I say forgive, I mean I will simply not have you flayed immediately. I will take my time with you.
I'll lean forwards towards Brother Uriah and I'll say, obey, and cast suggestion.
On Uriah or the imp?
On the imp.
Let me double check one thing real quick. Let me see if imps can be charmed.
Good question.
Yeah.
If not, I'm just going to intimidatingly say obey.
Either way, those are the words. Let's see. They are not immune to charm. Okay, so what's the save?
It is a save of 14, and it is a wisdom save. And I don't know, that thing's pretty wise.
But he rolled pretty well. You see he sort of crouches down a little bit and starts to crawl slowly backwards on the table that he's on. And he's like, Master, might I pose one other question to you?
Yes, yes. Though you show temerity to question your betters.
Your preparation for your ascension, right?
Yes.
Did you locate the other specimens? All 5 of them?
Yes. Everything is going according to my plan, according to my will, to the will of Aslan Rex. Bow, Tintalus. Bow before me.
He hits his knees and splays out his small clawed hands, and his wings extend over the table. Master!
It is good to see you have not forgotten your place.
Never. I've stood guard as you commanded from that day to now.
Well done, little fiend. And well done, Valentine. Do not feel too poorly about your efforts. These fiends have slippery minds. Greetings to you all.
And to you.
Oh, what's going on? Peace, Uriah. I'm still here. It's not like before. I'm still. Yes. When I made my presence known before, you were in dire straits at death's door. But greetings to you all, and of course, to you, lady. I see the help I have dispatched has arrived.
You see Jennifer Foxgrove jumps in front of Nika and draws her sword. And Jennifer holds her hands up and flames erupt into her hands. And she's like, excuse me, what's happening, you all?
Don't
If
hurt
Aslan
Uriah.
Rex wanted to kill us, he wouldn't do it through Uriah's body.
Aslan Rex! And Lori squeezes the sword so tightly you hear the leather creak on the hilt, but she doesn't move between you and Nika.
I step in front of Lori.
I take on a form of dread in front of Uriah.
The Weathermay Foxgrove twins. At last, we meet not face to face, but it is a pleasure to finally make your acquaintance. I am familiar with your works. I censored most of the copies in dark on myself.
You are not welcome here, sir. Release this man and be gone from our ancestral land now.
But I go where I wish these days, and I do not come as an enemy. Nahara can tell you. That dread form that you currently wear, Nahara, your power, it flows from me, and I give it freely. Why all this suspicion? I have not acted against any of you.
Yes.
And why are you here?
I thought it time we had a word. I have spoken to some of you before. Nahara, of course.
Yes.
When you made your pact, when I became your patron, and you, Veronica, I did promise I would send help, did I not?
You did.
Then your deliverance is at hand. I merely wish to show you that unlike some, I keep my bargains.
You have.
What about me? About you, boy? Well, I see you have discovered your origins. Tell me, all of you, who was it revealed this to Uriah? There is a space within his memories.
Hello, we haven't met. Tatiana.
We have not, Genasi, though I have observed you, and I am impressed. Not everyone can draw the attention of Lord Soth of Sithacus.
You know about that? Because I will kill him. I have vowed this.
I am sure. Though you may need more time to ripen on the vine before you make good on that threat. And of course...
I am not a fruit. Well, except... Anyway,
Forgive the analogy. I understood you had recently dabbled in druid craft. I thought you might appreciate something of a nature metaphor.
alright, we see that you are powerful. You know things. Will you not give back our companion's body to him?
I actually am still here. I can move freely.
Yes, Uriah, I am merely dropping by for a visit.
No.
I will not ask you call me father. I know you are fond of the man who raised you. Would it surprise you to learn that he was an agent of mine? An agent of the Kargat, and loyal to the crown?
It would surprise me greatly. What do you want?
Merely to finally meet your friends. Desmond, Tatiana, and Valentine. Outlanders. No doubt you desire to return to your home, to Koshmar, and moreover, to return there in the company of your beloved Veronica.
That's right.
And you others, you, Desmond, is this what you wish?
Yes.
Yes.
Why
Wolf.
are you here?
I am here to offer help. One would think you would all be pleased at that. You, Desmond. The wolf dwells within you. I am among the few in this land who can see the value in that. In the Kargat, you would have easily been officer material. Many of my most loyal lieutenants were lycanthropes. And you, Valentine.
Yes.
The interests of your, shall we say, deliverer are not necessarily opposed to mine. The Godbrain and I have reached an understanding in the past. There is no need for us to be foes.
What do you want?
To help.
In exchange for?
Your help.
Always a catch. What do you need help
Always.
with? What could you possibly need us for?
A problem that has vexed me for some time. For my entire span spent here in this wretched demiplane. I wish to leave. And I believe that you three specifically, you four, including Veronica, are an avenue to that escape.
Well, you can't leave through Desmond's sword. That's taken.
And not through any of us. Well, you already have Uriah, so to speak.
Yeah.
Wait, I have questions. You have been
What?
kind to us, this is true. You have worked on our behalf, you have given power to some of our companions. But if we provide you travel to our lands, even though we do not know how to go there, but if we did, how can we be given assurance you will not wreak havoc on the people of Kashmir?
Koshmar is not my destination. merely a stopping point. I seek to return to the world of my birth. It is sometimes referred to sages. Yes, sages sometimes call it Greyhawk, though this is a misnomer. Greyhawk is merely a city. No, Earth is my home, and I will return there. In exchange for my help, which is very valuable, I merely seek yours. And
Jennifer,
you,
Jennifer speaks up. Still, the flames in her hands, you notice have like died down slightly, and she kind of clenches her fists and they extinguish. But Lori has not moved from her spot with the sword in front of Nika. When I say in front of Nika, she has interposed herself between Nika and Aslan to defend Nika. Jennifer just says, friends, I realize clearly a great deal has happened that I am not aware of, but any bargain that you strike with someone of Aslan Rex's notoriety is sure to come with a number of catches.
Oh, we're
I'm
sure.
gonna
I've made my choice.
I'm gonna try and message to Aslan and see if I can connect that way directly and not get Uriah.
So the way message, well, are you using the message spell or are you using your psychic message?
I'm using my psychic message.
I will leave it up to the great Aslan Rex whether or not he has enough access to Uriah's brain to be able to speak without Uriah's awareness.
I
This thing
will say this. Aslan is currently under the effects of a mind blank spell, so I don't think that Valentine. I'm not sure, but it'll need a DM ruling. But I'm not sure that Valentine can reach him. Like if he might
see.
choose to communicate. I'm not sure. What would you say the ruling on that is?
I would say if he's mind blanked, you couldn't. However, the spell message is like whispering in someone's ear. So that would work, but theoretically Uriah would hear it. We don't know what else going
I
on
don't
under
have
the
that
hood
because
in
I'm
there.
telepathic. I don't
Right.
have it because I haven't needed it. All right, then I'll just
You
step
know-
closer.
I would say, Aslan, one of your power extending yourself this far, who is aware of Valentine and what she does, would be capable of allowing such communication should you choose.
Yeah, I'd say mentally, it's as though you're approaching a very large door and you might want to knock on it and see what happens.
Yeah, so I'll just come in and I'll say, "Can you hear me?"
I can. Is there some communication you would prefer your friends not hear? Striking some sort of bargain on behalf of the god brain?
Mostly a question. If you were
Ask.
to leave here and head back to our world, what becomes of your domain?
It is irrelevant, Valentine.
It's not irrelevant to the god brain. The god brain knows that it is my position to rule.
Ah, it is irrelevant to me. If you wish to pick over the corpse of Darkon, I shall not stand in your way. I am done with it, and if I may be honest, I certainly think you a much more worthy ruler than any of the pretenders who currently aspire to the throne. You may have Darkon with my blessing if the assistance I requested is rendered.
First, help Nika.
Oh, yes.
Then we will make a secondary deal.
Yes, this is among the first promises I have made, not only to you, but to Nika herself.
I make no promises for the rest of the people in this room.
I understand, but do we have an accord, Valentine?
Yeah.
No
Back in
one's
the room.
talking. This is strange. Are you
Yes, it's
doing?
Actually, Finn,
Yes.
you see Jennifer Weathermay Foxgrove standing on the other side of the room but you hear her like she's standing next to you saying something to you. Is this a common occurrence with your associate, Brother Uriah?
Not this woman, no. Aslan showed up only before he was in mortal danger. Totally taking him over as a new trick.
If what that creature says is true, he was here looking for this device. If he's located it now, this could be highly problematic.
Yeah. Yes, I know. But I'm not sure what is happening because both Aslan and Valentine have gone silent.
It's very quiet, and I'm not hearing any. I think they're having a private conversation.
Seeing this this pause that we all know what's going on, I would like to send a message to Aslan.
I would like to try and cover this. We all know what's going on. I would like to think I'm better at this by now, and I don't think it's imposed that it is that visible.
No, it's
I
just
would
more
think I'd be
she's
better at
noticed.
covering this.
Okay, so quick out of character. Fen noticed, but she's not assuming what the conversation is. She just is, you've messaged enough where she knows that you're probably trying to message, but not with Aslan.
I would say, given the context and the time of you all have been together, you could probably suspect some form of communication is taking place, but yes, not at all the substance or content of said
There's
communication.
nothing I can do to try and cover it. All right.
But I will still like to message Aslan.
Can you maintain an outward conversation at the same time you're having the inner conversation? That's the
I don't think I could speak, but I think that I would be able to cover it in my language, like body language. Well, it's literally what I do.
It isn't that Valentine is not very capable. It's just that they've all been on the receiving end of it and therefore know what it's like. But you would have no idea of knowing the content of the conversation, not at all.
I would still like to message.
Now, message again. So message definitely would hear, but Uriah would also hear.
That's
because
fine.
it is literally in his ear. So yes. Meanwhile, while Lord Aslan is spinning plates here, what would he hear in his ear?
You failed to mention one very specific point of your mission to them. It's not that you just want to go back. You haven't told them about Strahd. Why?
Uriah says out loud, about Strahd.
Not you.
I believe she's speaking to me. Apologies. It's like throwing a cocktail party, isn't it? So many conversations. Yes, Nahara. Perhaps we should mention.
And Uriah's head sort of snaps over and his eyes are looking at Fen.
Strahd von Zarovich.
Why is it that you are keeping that aspect away from the rest?
Many in this room already know of von Zarovich and his interests, do they not, Veronica? I make no secret of the fact that I despise von Zarovich. And yes, I will do much to counter his plans, but only because they interfere with my own. And you, Dampier, do you have allegiance to this man, this creature, Strahd von Zarovich?
Not particularly.
This is good.
But I hold no allegiance to you either.
Nor should you, for I've given you nothing yet.
And you're holding my friend.
As I said, I don't seem to be being held. I can move around. I can.
Yes, Uriah, you're fine.
Yeah, it is a bit odd, though, don't you think?
It's quite strange. And Fen wants to come up to Uriah and stare him in the eyes and try to figure out who exactly she's talking to.
As you're looking at him, you get this expression. which then shifts into this.
Oh, hello,
We're both-
Aslan.
Somebody
We're
give that,
both
please.
here.
Ah,
We're both here. You needn't worry.
Mm.
Uriah is perfectly safe. I have kept
Mm.
him safe.
Really? Where were you when he was 5? I saved his life.
For this, I thank you. Another power interfered. It was no mere bogey or gremlin that sought to take Uriah that night. Something altogether more powerful. And again, you have my thanks for preserving his existence. And mine as well, I suppose. But
Well,
enough.
if
I have interrupted you when you were about to reach your goal, or at least the first step.
Veronica, are you ready?
Let's see if this works.
Jennifer, what needs to happen?
Jennifer looks and she says, I realize you all seem to have some sort of accord here, but I refuse to operate the device while he is present. Either, both, he's. Take that thing and get out of this lab. Yes, master, please free me from this bondage. Allow me to return to your side.
Your task here is done.
Can I kill
my
him?
servant. I have a need of him.
I turn to
You-
Lori. I want to appeal to her. Please tell your sister. We need her. We need her to make this change. Don't appeal
yes,
to our
it-
darker sides.
We will do it, but that man, such as it is, must depart.
I have other places to be. I do wish you all the very best.
Oh, God, this. I'm all right.
Hmm.
Miss Withermay Foxgrove, I may be able to lend you some assistance, either the blessing of Ezra or guidance. If there is a task you have to perform, I can help you do it more efficiently.
No, sir. And I think you understand we are going to have to insist that you step outside. You cannot perceive what is about to take place in here.
Of course. No. Quite understandable. I'll use the little bell fairy as well, just so I don't overhear anything.
You see the imp, Tintalus, looks at all of you and says, may we never meet again. And he vanishes.
actually escort Brother Uriah out of the lab.
Okay. There is a stone staircase that emerges behind a hidden hedge. Again, this was very secure if you didn't know exactly where it was. And you two are able to easily reverse course and come out into the chilly, more dentish weather. There's a cool breeze and the smell of sea salt greets you as you come outside.
It's always so damp here.
Uriah.
Fen, that was so very
This-
odd.
It's not odd. Aslan is in your head.
It wasn't so much that he was controlling me or anything. It was just he was speaking through my mouth. I still had control of my limbs, and I knew I was aware of everything. It wasn't like the times before, but I suppose I was nearly unconscious both of those times.
Yes.
What did he mean about Strad von Zarovich and allegiance to him?
I've spoken with Strahd once and he offered me something and I offended him greatly, so he sent me on my way.
How did you offend him?
I forgot his proper title.
Oh, did you call him like a baron or something?
I think so, yes.
Oh, yes. Counts hate that.
Yeah,
Yes.
but he made me an offer similar to what Jander did of making me either fully vampire or fully drow.
Back there, I couldn't help but notice I think Aslan Rex considers you somewhat in his debt, or rather he and yours.
Yes.
He actually offered you thanks, and I'm not sure if that's his usual demeanor.
Well, I'll keep that in my pocket for now, but I'm concerned, especially if we go back and Isolde finds out that Aslan is right, can get a front row view through your eyes.
Again, I'm not sure if he's aware of everything that's happening. When he showed up just then, it was as though he'd stepped into a bookshop and had glanced quickly at some of the covers and rifled through a few pages. If he knew what he was looking for, I think he was able to find it, but I'm not sure if, for example, he's looking through my eyes now, seeing you, or is aware of what I'm saying.
And Finn looks deep into Uriah's eyes, just kind of staring. No, the maliciousness of Aslan isn't there. It's you.
It's just me, I think.
Well, nothing to do but wait.
Yes, thank you for staying with me. I didn't really want to be waiting alone outside, especially given the amount of spectral activity in the region.
Oh, you have Ezra and you have the blessing of Ezra, you'll be fine.
Oh yes, I should probably, I'm going to renew that just now. I'm just going to cast that again right now.
And I take a seat on the steps and wait with Uriah.
Back inside, as they depart and Jennifer watches, she just sort of shakes her head and says, "You all have been nothing but honorable to my sister and I, even at times that I can't say we deserved it, but were you all aware that the child of Aslan Rex, and apparently on occasional vessel, has been traveling with you this entire time?"
It's a bit complicated.
Much of this information is new. We haven't had much chance to explain such things. It's private, you know. We don't want to air all of his dirty laundry.
Nika, Jennifer looks at you and says in Sylvan, "What is it that you wish from all of this? You can depart Mordant after this procedure, theoretically, but I do not know that you can return to the lands of your home."
If I can't get back home, at least I can be with the ones that I love.
She sort of scratches her head for a moment and says, There may be a way to give you some limited access, but it will not be permanent, and it may be quite costly."
What are you thinking?
Desmond, I believe somewhere along the way you have picked up a bit of Sylvan, have you not?
And he says in Sylvan, just a little.
When did you?
I've spent some time reading. And he replies in Sylvan. So like
Clearly, there is something here. And connections are powerful. your connection to each other, your connection to your home, I may be able to help you in conjunction with some of the capabilities of your friends, of course. Get back there, at least temporarily. But I don't know if it will be permanent. I don't know if it's possible. But I guess the first step is performing one impossible mission. And then we can discuss the second.
Some
Let's get
attempt is
this
better
done.
than no attempt.
Exactly.
She just motions where there is like a bed on the apparatus for you to lay down on. Again, as you all look at this device, it is very similar to what you saw in Valentine's vision, but it is almost like the device in Blutspur was consciously made cruelly and misshapen, where this one looks almost experimental. You can tell many parts are bronzed and aged and withered. It was put together carefully, but really more out of what was available. And as you lay down, Jennifer and Lori go about arranging things until finally they walk to two different switches on opposite sides of the wall. And they both reach up like they're going to grab it. And then they stop for a second and they just say, Valentine, Desmond, would you like to?
Yes.
Of course.
Lori, as you walk over towards the switches, both of you, Lori does just hold her hand out to you, Desmond, and she says, the blade, sir.
Desmond reaches back, unsheathes it, and Hilt first hands it over.
She takes it and she looks at it and she says, fine craftsmanship. I'd expect no less.
If we go back to Couchmore and Nika's there, I will pass the word to the blacksmith.
She goes over and you see there are a number of glass tubes around the apparatus. And while Nika is laying flat on a bed, she actually opens one of the tubes, which you realize is large enough that it could fit a standard size sentient inside, and carefully puts the blade in it upright and closes it. And they both start speaking in a language that none of you understand, even though between the two of you, you cover quite a few, but you truly don't know what they're saying. But they have their eyes closed, and it's clear that they're giving a blessing of some kind, some sort of blessing / incantation as they're talking in absolute unison. And you all do feel a certain warmth in the room, but a pleasant warmth, not a heat. That honestly, Valentine, kind of sucks. But for everybody else, isn't so bad. And they just turn and look at the two of you and they say, it's time.
What do you need?
Pull the switch.
Doesn't
Will I also be pulling a switch? Can I also
Yes.
pull from the other side? All right.
Mhm.
Put my hand up as well.
Same time?
Yep. She just lowers her hands
Switch.
and you both hit the switch. There is a crackle of electricity, and the air hangs thick with a smell of ozone. Outside, Uriah and Finn, you both hear and the clouds overhead part, and you actually see the sun, the clear sun shining down for a moment over this area, and there is a rumble through the ground, and inside a blinding flash of light. For a moment, you can't see anything. And when you sort of blink back, Nika's gone.
Nika! Where did she go, Valentine?
It's if it worked, she's supposed to be gone if it worked.
No, she's supposed to
Exactly.
be in a body right here.
She was in corporeal form. If everything went as planned, she is now bonded with the sword. And he looks at Jennifer and just, yes.
If our calculations are correct, she should, her essence at least, and she just motions towards the container that has the sword in it.
And the second she does that, Desmond opens the door to the container and grabs it. Does he feel her essence?
It definitely feels warm. Nika, it's an odd sensation. For you, you're laying on the bed looking at the ceiling. There's a flash of light, and then you're in this tube looking at everyone as they seem panicked until you feel it's like Desmond reaches into this thing and picks you up. Two things you know immediately. You are able to talk to him. Probably with some exertion, you can talk to anyone that you want. You think perhaps here in Mordant, you might be able to manifest an appearance after a fashion. You don't know if you leave Mordant to what extent you would be able to reveal yourself if you so chose.
Desmond, I'm here.
And as he hears this, he just
It
looks
worked.
around as it worked.
It worked.
She's here.
Oh my God.
What a relief.
I'll just put my hand on Tatiana's shoulder and give a little squeeze. I see it worked. It's fine.
We didn't talk about the second part. We are going to find her a body, right?
Well, hopefully we get back and find hers. I mean, mine
It
was
work?
in no. Yes.
You see Jennifer motions with her hand, and all of the heavy tarps and things that were in this room covering it up drop over the device again. And she's like, "You may return."
And the
Once
second
we
he says-
find her body, though, then what?
While they're saying that, Desmond takes his sword by the hilt and just holds it to his chest. Just says, "I'm here. I know that you're there. If ever you think that you need me, say words." And when he says that, he flips it and she's it behind him.
For the first time since you've been reunited, both of you get the feeling of a true and genuine human connection.
And he just sighs, just
We may be able to help you with the next stage of what you're trying to accomplish. We, of course, do not match the power of Lord Aslan Rex, but we are not without resources.
What is the next step?
I believe you all wish to return home, do you not?
Yes.
They look at each other and they say, do any of you have a particular mind for politics?
he doesn't just
I look to. Oh, Desmond.
Why do you ask?
As you know, we did not know that this facility was here, and I must admit, Professor Van Richten is going to have a field day with some of these old parchments. But in our home, we do have a significant mystical library, and our mother is a sorceress of some power.
Mm-hmm.
Listening.
She could probably be compelled to assist you somehow. We will accompany you, of course, but my sister and I didn't exactly go into the family business. The Weathermays are of some repute here in Mordant, but we have no mind for politics. And so she is rather disappointed and perhaps embarrassed by us. But
I don't see how any mother could be embarrassed by a pair of daughters who dedicated their lives to freeing the world from darkness, to helping those who cannot help themselves.
Lori takes a step towards you, Brother Uriah, and she says, I cannot begin to know, but if you wish us to attempt to use the apparatus on you to separate you from him,
Well, that's the thing of it. I don't think that we're combined, as it were. It was a very peculiar sensation, as though I were a house that he happened to have the key to, but he doesn't live here, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
You're a vacation home.
I know it quite well.
She looks at you and she says, when Professor Van Richten returns, I can speak of him, of your state, of both of your states. Perhaps he might have some way to help you.
Yes, I of course would be most honored to receive any help that the doctor was willing to offer. And yes,
I only request hope for Nika.
A request? Does the device remove perhaps strong curses?
That's true.
Jennifer looks at it
Useful.
and she says, it will require more research. The true apparatus, the one that lay in Lamortia, is supposed to have infinite power and can work all manner of wonders. This is a facsimile from some time ago that I myself have only come to know exists.
You put a ghost in a sword, but you can't get rid of one little shadow curse. She walks, turns away, and then kicks the wall.
Now, you mentioned Lamortia. The original apparatus resides in Lamortia?
Yes.
Well, then perhaps that is the key to helping your friend Veronica.
Possibly, conceivably, but I don't usually dabble in such things, but you will need a vessel for her. Perhaps one could be fashioned in Lamortia. And of course, Nika, you hear all of this. You are very much aware of your surroundings. I don't know that you want her to be a flesh golem or...
Yes, I have heard they're somewhat rather more common in that part of the world. They also, well, one's heard tales, and I've certainly seen things at the university where my father studied, but they have remarkable technology there, beyond anything I've ever seen.
You know, I wouldn't mind going back to Felkovnia, taking Vladeska Drakov.
We probably shouldn't go back to Felkovnia.
Wouldn't mind taking her out.
She was evil for sure. I would not feel bad taking the body.
But do we want her body?
It was
No,
a
wouldn't
nice
she want
body.
her? Wouldn't
Desmond, I
Veronica
don't
want
to
her
borrow a
own?
body.
It's
What was that, Nika?
I don't want to be in someone else's body.
Did you say to everyone through the sword?
I think Desmond gets it first.
Yeah, but you're able to communicate essentially, just so that we're not trapped always playing the telephone game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that you, Veronica?
Nika?
It's still, you're right, it's still me. I'm in his sword. Can we go back to Koshmar? See if my body is there first? Maybe start there. Start at home.
Well, the thing is, we have been traveling in the mist for some time, and the door to Kashmar is not exactly open.
Well, again,
Well,
our
don't we
mother
have-
may be of some assistance.
Right. We can try.
Yes, I
Please.
think that's our best lead for now. Certainly.
We would
And
love to.
Tatiana, I know that your dealing with your curse and shadow, but we'll fix it. We won't ignore you.
The worst part is when I see the force and violence with which my shadow attacks me, I think, if only this power could be in my control. If I could send my shadow after my enemies and destroy them. Would be
That
very,
too.
Yeah, that's kind of
That
where
would be.
I'm coming from.
You all notice when she says that, when she says, if I could control this power, if I could send my shadows after my enemies, behind her, it starts to coalesce. Like you see it a little clearer. It doesn't do anything. But then when she stops talking, it just goes to a normal shadow.
It is
Yeah,
a
so
strong shadow, a beautiful. What are you looking at?
Yeah, you see your brother Uriah doing the old.
It's a shadow.
The shadow. The shadow's doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
When
seemed
you
to get
get
worked up
angry.
when you did.
Good to know.
The weather
It might have
maze,
liked your idea.
the
Mhm.
weather maze just look at each other and they're like, you are fascinating people. A word of advice, when you all meet Mother, maybe don't mention curses, maybe don't mention Aslan Rex. Most anything else, I think, be fine.
And how do they feel about Dampier?
Mother is not in the same line of work that we are. I don't know that she will have any issue with it beyond the normal kin. You do know that society in Mordant is traditional, very traditional.
There's also, let us not forget Zybilna, who did offer us help.
That is
That
true.
led us to Nika in exchange for her help.
But you are saying that your mother is not fond of spiritual matters.
She is not fond of adventuring. I just think that she might be a little superstitious when it comes to curses or iconic liches or things of that nature. Who or what is a Zybilna?
Valentine, you spent more time with her. I can
Well.
explain if you don't want to.
I don't exactly know what she is. I saw her, but it was in the
well.
mind of another.
Speaking of mysterious and powerful individuals, did all of you note that Aslan didn't seem to know about my uncle, about Firan Zalhonen? He said there was a space in my memories, and from what he was saying, I think that space formed around the time that we were with him.
It seems that your uncle does not want him to know.
Perhaps.
Firan Zalhonen is somehow connected to Aslan Rex. We've met him on a number of occasions.
Yes, a very personable
you?
chap, I found. He was most hospitable.
Wait, uncle? Father? You don't mean...
Yeah.
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 Also, don't mention that to Mother. Please. Okay, come. And they actually
Hold on, I was
Yes,
going to
yes.
tell you about Zybilna.
Oh, yes, please.
She's someone that is sold to knows. Have you ever been to the carnival in the
Oh,
Mist?
yes, it's lovely. Yes.
Zybilna is someone that is sold knows, and she promised to free her, help both Isolde and Valentine if we would help her out of wherever she's trapped. She's the one that led us to know where Nika is.
You see Jennifer steps forward and she says, I am I've been dutifully warned about the particular bramble patch that is Lady Valentine's mind. But Finn, would you be so inclined to just allow me to see what you saw? it wouldn't hurt you, and I promise to not look anywhere but there.
Very well. And I actually look over at Desmond and then think better of it. He's got his own problems. Uriah,
Yes.
keep an eye out for me, please.
Of course. For what? What am I meant to be looking at or for?
Just if I change or do anything untoward.
Can that happen?
I don't know.
And
And
why do you think that's going to happen?
well, you said that I just dropped and stopped moving when I touched Nepenthe.
Yes.
And I joined Valentine and I wasn't trying to. And I'm no mage.
All right. You can count on me, Fen, of course.
One last thing. Zabilna, from what I remember, is an archfey, if that is relevant.
No.
Did she just say Archfey?
Yes.
It is rather powerful, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Well, the Archfey exist in the plane of the Fey Wild. I've read about it, of course. I've yet to have the opportunity to visit it myself, but it's
lovely.
Have you? And she like looks at you, Desmond, and then like tilts and like looks over at the sword hilt. Have you been to the Feywild?
My mother's family is from the Feywild.
Fascinating. I would absolutely love to hear all about it at some point. I've heard that there are trees that grow with fruit the size of a person. Is that true?
Some of them, yes, not all of them.
I've also heard, and Lori reaches over and she's like, Jennifer, we're on a mission. And she's yes, well, who are you people that you keep gaining the attention of so many powerful interests? Aslan Rex, Strahd von Zarovich, a trapped archfey, the God, Lord Thoth, the God Brain.
We've asked the same questions ourselves.
A lot of us seem to be strangely linked to these people.
I, for one, don't find it strange. We are all very powerful and very strong, so it makes sense.
When you find out the specifics, let us know.
Yeah, but you were going to.
Yes, I shall add it to my list of items to research. And she reaches out, and as she's about to touch Finn's face, she's like, the Feywild, that would be so wonderful. I can't. And just stares at Finn for about 3 seconds and then just lets go. And it's like, oh, that poor woman. Isolde.
You said you were not going to look for anything extra.
It was all just one tangle of memories. Who was that man she was cradling on the ground? That seems like an archfey. Yes, she said that she would assist both Isolde and Voronika, in that the reason why she led you here was that you could understand the true scope of Voronika's predicament. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Well, okay. Let's talk to our mother next. Okay, wait. You all are hapless travelers lost in the mists and are merely trying to find your way home. Let's just keep it very simple. Lost in the mist, want to go home.
I wonder, is your mother by chance a follower of the Ezran faith?
Well, she never put much stock in religion, more tradition, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, but as a politician, of course, she's probably eager to keep the faithful on side, as it were, yes?
Yes. Do you know, she sort of leans over close to you and she's like, we have had a bit of an issue with some fanatical types that have moved in to Mordant as of late. I know that that is something that she's been grappling with quite extensively.
Fanatical type worship of Ezra.
No. Olmest Inquisitors.
I see. Yes. Well, yes, that's something to worry about as well, isn't it?
Yes, but
I suppose my question would be, if she is such a powerful sorceress, why wouldn't she just see right through us? Be able to detect the kind of magic that we carry, the kind of afflictions we have.
well, because it is not completely false. You are, in fact, lost wanderers in the mist who want to go home. If she wishes to probe deeper, she will. I just felt it might be easier than getting lost with Aslan and Strahd, the Godbrain, and Archfey, and you know.
Yes, of course, but wouldn't she be able to see Tatiana's shadow?
I don't know. Neither of us do what Mother does. Is that a thing that happens? Are sorceresses able to just see curses? I don't know. I'm genuinely asking.
I'm able to
not
see it
telling.
in plain sight, but
Tatiana turns around real quick and tries to sneak attack her own shadow. It's just being a normal shadow, I imagine.
Yeah, just a normal shadow.
Cat chasing your tail.
I mean, even the people in this party have the ability to pick up on various forms of magic. So I'm just saying, if we're going in lying, it's a bold move, but I've never been against it.
Maybe it's not so much as we're lying as so much we're just not there for those reasons.
Selectively editing the truth. Great. Well, this way. As they lead you all up to the stone staircase again, back into the garden, off in the distance, you can see Heather House. It is ivory shrouded stone, marble. It is gorgeous, but clearly also very old, a sprawling estate. And as you look around, you also see a very elaborately dressed woman with 12 armed guards.
I just want to be clear. Are there 12 individual guards, or is it guards with 12 arms?
It's we're in the mist. Why not both?
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, 12 individual guards.
Very good. Okay.
And as you all come up, they point their lances out at you, and she says, "Stop, brigands!" And the weathermaid, Jennifer and Lori, both run forward, and they're like, "No, Mother, they're with us." She's like, "Oh, well then. If they're friends of yours, I shall do them the privilege of allowing them to choose the method of their execution." And that, I think, is a good place for us to go to break. Got our Wild Beyond the Witchlight video here. 8.5 minutes, and we will be back. Don't go nowheres.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Perkins. I am one of the principal game architects for Dungeons & Dragons here at Wizards of the Coast. And I want to talk a little bit about our new adventure, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Our first 5th edition adventure set primarily on the plane of the Feywild. In the adventure, the players get to visit some absolutely wondrous locations and get into all sorts of wacky hijinks. So what is the Feywild, you ask? It's like a reflection of the world, similar in a way to the Shadowfell is a gloomy reflection of the real world. The Feywild is a more wondrous, brighter reflection. But like fairy tales, the Feywild comes in all sorts of flavors and tones. Sometimes it can be a dark place. Sometimes it can be a very light and whimsical place. What The Wild Beyond the Witchlight does is it kind of shows an archetypal Feywild domain. We don't visit the Feywild in its entirety, of course, because it's vast, but by focusing on this new domain that we've created, this place called Prismeer, we can give you and your players a real taste of what the Feywild can be like, and also give you pointers on how to distinguish a Feywild-themed adventure from, say, an adventure that takes place in the natural world. Now, in the Feywild, there are the creatures you expect to encounter, Fey beings like satyrs and pixies and sprites. And then there are intruders that make their way into the domain, or creatures that have been lost there or found their way there because they crossed over from the natural world into the Feywild. And so there's a great deal of range when it comes to the types of encounters that you can run there. But with the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, we really wanted to show you some key aspects of the Feywild. One of the weird things about the Feywild is it's very easy to get lost. Time and space sort of bend there in weird ways. A lot more time can pass than you think, and sometimes there is no road to where you need to go, or the road turns back on itself if you don't know the trick to getting to the end of it. One of the things I'm most proud of is that a clever party can get through this adventure without ever having to resort to combat if they don't want to. That's the first time we've tried something like this in a 5th edition adventure, and I look forward to hearing how that goes. And so in this adventure, we show you how some of the rules of the Feywild work, like the rule of reciprocity and how Fey like to be repaid for the kindnesses that they offer, or the rule of ownership. What do you own and what can you give up? And what happens when you take something that doesn't belong to you? There can be serious consequences for stuff like that in the Feywild.
Hi, my name is Ari Levitch. I'm a game designer on Dungeons & Dragons, and for the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, I had the pleasure of getting to work on parts of Prismeer. So, Prismeer is a domain of delight, and domains of delight in the Feywild are these sequestered realms that are ruled by a powerful archfey. These are powerful beings that are native to the Feywild. But something has happened in Prismeer, in the adventure Wild Beyond the Witchlight, in that the archfey, Zybilna, is kind of missing in action. And in her absence, the domain of delight has fractured into these splinter realms. And the splinter realms are Hither, Thither, and Yon. And each one has its own distinct feel based on what's going on there. And so one realm, Hither, is this fetid, dank swamp. Thither is this ancient forest filled, with whimsical trees and all sorts of woodland creatures. And then Yon is this dramatic landscape of mountains and brooding clouds and storms. And so there's this kind of patchwork feel to Prismeer based on what has happened, that in its fractured state, each realm has taken on its own kind of miniature domain vibe. The carnival itself serves as a Fey crossing that can take people from the material plane into the Feywild, specifically into the domain of Prismeer. The Feywild is actually this plane of absolute emotion. Imagine emotion like in Technicolor. Everything is amped up, and it's filled with capricious and mischievous and charming denizens. And it's a place to get into adventures that are a little bit more whimsical in nature, but there's a playful wickedness to the Feywild that doesn't exist in other parts of the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse.
Hi, my name is Kate Irwin, and I'm a senior art director on D&D. I was the art director for Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Inspiration for this book was kind of all over the place. It was everything from Willy Wonka and James and the Giant Peach, that magical adventure sort of feeling, to kind of darker things. All of the maps in the book were done by Will Doyle and Stacey Allen. Will and Stacey worked with Chris early on in the process. So the maps really were a big part of how the adventure flows, and the details that you see in the map inform the adventure, and the adventure informs the maps. It was a very symbiotic process. And then my great luck is that they had wonderful sketches to work from and finalize them into the beautiful maps that you see in the book. We worked on the dice set prior to the book, so I was able to kind of dip my feet into the commissioning of this wonderful place before I really had to go in the deep end. So we did a subset of characters, games, showing some of the different sorts of things that you'll experience when you go to the carnival. And those pieces were in the dice set. So there's a little bit of information about what it's like there. One of my favorite pieces from the Feywild section of the book is actually a chapter opener done by an artist that I've worked with a million times, Kieran Yanner. I asked him to illustrate a bunch of adventurers hanging off of a swamp gas balloon. And the sketch came in and my heart stopped. It made me so happy to see this sketch. The composition, again, he just captured the characters so beautifully, but this time in a really active kind of scene. So that was like one of the happiest accidents in this entire book. I just love that piece. My main goal with any project is to put together a book that I'm proud of, pleasing the lead and pleasing the fans. Those are my main goals with any project.
I do hope, on behalf of our team, that you love The Wild Beyond the Witchlight and its satellite products as much as we do. I want to thank everyone who worked on it. A lot of people poured their hearts and souls into this product, their love of the Feywild shining through. And I just want to say thank you all for all that you did.
As you all exit and you see this scene and this woman proudly declaring that you can pick your own method of execution, Desmond, you hear a voice inside of your head, a familiar voice. Hi, Desmond. Wow, you are having an eventful afternoon, aren't you? It is Rose.
This is just in his mind, yes?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so mentally he responds, hi, Rose. You always seem to show up right when things are busy, to say the least.
It's a gift. I just stopped by to drop off one little piece of information.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, hi, Voronika. I deeply suspect that you can hear me. I look forward to making your acquaintance properly soon. And sure enough, Nika, you can hear this woman's voice talking to him. You have no idea who she is. You've never heard it, but the two of you have everything you need right now. This sword, her spirit, in Nahara's hands, can guide you safely home right now.
How?
How does she ever do what she does? You handed her a chunk of zombie meat and she guided you to Falkovnia. You can have a raffle ticket and get to the carnival.
Touche.
How'd you get to me?
I just assumed you hear what he hears now, or
no,
at least
not
your...
you, Desmond. How'd you get to me?
What?
How did you find me here in Mordant?
That was a scarf from Valentine that we gave to Nahara.
Give the sword.
Give her the sword. We're on the same wavelength. I see what you did there. Also, Nika, Rose, Nika, long story. We'll catch up later.
Charmed. Just before I go, since I think you're going to have to beat a hasty exit lest you be executed, for what it's worth, this little trick would not have worked before. You needed both of your powers combined. It's not like they could have just left whenever you wanted. Anyhow, bye. And you very much feel like her presence is gone. Did you
And-
say? Go ahead. Sorry. No, you were saying something. Go on. Sorry.
Someone else will say something. I feel like.
No, I thought you were saying something. Did
Oh,
you say? Oh, go ahead. Yes, please continue.
The second that Rose is gone,
Mhm.
Desmond just kind of does his best to remember the training that he received to be someone who takes over control of the kingdom, and just respectfully bows to the Weatherman Five Squirrel's mother and just, I deeply apologize for any intruding we've done on your lands. Your daughters have been absolutely amazing to us, and we greatly appreciate any of your time. I imagine you're quite busy. I understand what it's like running a kingdom. With that, I would much prefer to not be executed. But if I were to be executed, I would rather it be done with this sword. And he just like unsheathes it, and he just like passes it to Nahara and just by her hand. And realistically, it would preferably be just us walking out of your hair. We don't mean to cause you any frustration, and we truly apologize for intruding, but we wanted to impress upon you how amazing your daughters are, and greatly thank you for allowing them to assist us. And he bows as gracefully as he can.
Yes,
Give me
and,
two things. Desmond, give me a persuasion check. Nahara, give me insight with advantage to see if you can detect what the play is here.
Okay.
While they're doing that, Uriah just sort of pipes up. Oh, and yes, if we're getting to choose our own methods of execution, then I select old age, many years from now.
That's a dirty 20 for me.
Nahara, you kind of put, obviously Nika's in the sword. He's handing you the sword. They give you random stuff. So you don't necessarily know what the play is, but you're the Mistwalker. You take things and go. So you kind of can detect that's the move here.
Would I know if I'm sending a message, or I wouldn't know that Desmond has any sort of communication?
No, you wouldn't have known that Rose said anything to him.
So I will be taking a risk right now, and I'll send a message to Desmond, just saying, I know how much this means to you, and the fact that you are trusting me with this, with the both of you, does not go unnoticed.
And Desmond replies mentally, you know how important Nika is to me.
Yes.
We've been together all this time. The least I can do is trust you with the thing that I would trust to no one else.
However,
14, by the way, on the persuasion roll.
Alice Foxgrove got a 20 on hers. Says, save your honeyed words, sir. I'm quite aware of what my daughters are like, and I shall have quite a word with them when all of this is resolved. And she raises her hand like she's about to call these soldiers forward. And you see Jennifer and Lori both jump in front of you. And Jennifer looks at you and says, well, perhaps our plan has backfired and you all might just want to beat a hasty exit.
All right. Yes, perhaps that's best. Will you be all right?
You see Lori draws her sword and she's like, maybe. Good luck.
Retreat is not in my vocabulary. How many soldiers are there?
12, and their mother that you
Right.
know is a powerful sorceress.
Desmond has just entrusted me with like the most important thing in his life. So if I look to Desmond, and if he looks like he's going to bolt, I'm going to bolt.
And then the second she looks, Desmond just.
The mists are
Running.
never far away. There are open, sweeping plains here, but you can always see them, never too far in any given direction. So you definitely can see a way to go if you were going to try and beat feet right now.
Yeah, I'm out.
When you all turn and run, you see Jennifer just says, sorry, mother, and raises her hands, and a wall of fire comes up between them, including Jennifer and Lori and you all, buying you all some time.
I'd like to just help out a little bit by throwing a fire bolt at one of the guards on the way out.
It just kind of an overhand yeet as
Yeah.
the wall of fire goes up. Perfect. Make your attack roll.
I think the
All
wall
right.
of fire singes my eyebrows because I'm just standing there, like as everyone turns to run, not ready to go yet. Oh,
I'll be like tugging on Tatiana. That's a 22 to hit.
It very much you hear it's also I really have been letting the dice decide here. As the fire comes up and the bright light casts dark shadows on the ground behind you, Tatiana, you very much feel like something push your head like away from the wall of fire and in the direction. Your shadow literally like forces you to turn around.
what? I'm so confused, and I just start running after my friends.
Mm-hmm. You all hear the clang in battle in like high-pitched curses, and you start to hear a very loud growling noise. You can't see anything on the other side of the wall of fire, but you hear it as presumably all of you are heading towards the mist. Am I assuming that you're all gonna take the opportunity and run?
Desmond, I think that perhaps Jennifer is taking your advice regarding getting in touch with her more bestial
Desmond
side.
is in a full sprint and just like, good. And just like fully sprinting.
Yep. You all are running again. It just takes a few, but you, especially those of you that are from here, are very used to this. And even you that aren't have kind of become accustomed to it now, that the mist, at the risk of mixing metaphors, is almost like the clip plane on a video game. It's always a little ways off. And even though you can walk, it's also sort of fixed. But what you've also realized is two things. You do hit a hard limit on the edge of the domains. And you all have also come to realize that when Nahara wants to get to the mists, they kind of stop moving away from you. So as you all run towards this bank of fog, you are able to plunge headlong into it. I assume this is your intention.
I'll reach out
Yes,
for
so-
Tatiana's hand before we jump in.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get to the mists, I will take the sword and hold it close, just as Desmond had done earlier. And as soon as everybody's close enough, you'll see my wings just envelop us all in a group, and then just like we're out.
This time it is different.
Sweet.
You all have found in the past when you walk through the mist, it's just that you travel, and it can be very disconcerting pending where it is that you are going. But this time, for Tatiana, Valentine, and Desmond, you have had a very similar experience before. As when you got here, the mist welled up and washed over you when you were in the mist. This time it is almost the opposite. The mists well up and wash over you, and you are out. And when they come out, what do they see?
They see Kashmar, but it's different. What was once lush and plentiful vegetation, it's become neglected. The plants that were once vibrant with various flowers, they're dried and withered. The vines that were normally cut back to let the other plants grow have taken over, to the point where they're creeping across the paths. They're creating canopies that weren't there between trees that shouldn't have been connected in the first place. It's quiet. The natural life that you would normally hear of the singing birds and the insects, it's maybe an occasional call now. And the pathways that used to be strewn with inhabitants, children running back and forth, playing and laughing, people going about their daily business, they're not there anymore. Kashmar is not the vibrant place it once was. It's almost as if life has been snuffed out of it and it's just barely hanging on. You still get glimpses of green, but it's almost like the last days of fall as opposed to the first days of spring. Even the buildings that once merged with trees and other plants are now fully taken over, some unrecognizable.
Desmond just falls to his knees and looks around. And just, what has happened to my home?
I'll get down next to him.
This is Koshmar?
No.
Where are the people?
How long have we been gone? This is not 2
This
months
is no.
of loss. This is not the amount of time we've been gone. This takes far
This
too
takes
long.
years, Desmond.
Something has happened.
6 years. But we just met each other not even a month ago.
They say that time can pass differently between worlds.
Wait. 6 years.
How do we know it's 6?
Take
That's
years for this
60.
to happen.
What?
It can take years for this amount of overgrowth. This is.
We don't
There
know
were
what
villages
happened
on the
after we
outskirts.
disappeared.
Do we know that this is time and not something
This
of
isn't
dark
time.
forces that have afflicted? I don't know.
You know, Desmond sense, because of his love for the forest, can he visually tell the time?
You can give me survival with advantage. And Nika, you were saying something there?
Nika, there were villages on the outskirts of Koshmar, the ones that were starting to be abandoned because Koshmar was not doing as well. Father would take me to these, and this is what happens when you don't care for these places anymore. This isn't a month. This isn't a couple months. This is time. This is years. This takes years to happen.
Desmond, as you're looking, you think Finn's assessment is probably pretty accurate. It's 5-6 years, and you don't sense any overt blight on this land. The temple, or what remains of it, is still burned ruins now, overgrown with vines and grass and the small tree sapling that have begun to reclaim the settlement. But it really is just like this place has been forgotten.
Nahara will kneel down close to Desmond, hand him back the sword. I know that there are far too many questions than there are answers, but we'll find them.
The question I have now is, where's my brother? I don't believe there is an earth where he will let this happen to our home. Although, the night we disappeared, we've experienced a lot in life. I don't think he's ever experienced anything quite like that.
My friends, I'm so sorry that this has befallen the place you called home. But tell me, you said that Soth was here when you left, yes? Is it possible that he laid waste to this place? And
yes.
then...
The possibility exists. I've been trying to avoid that.
All of you give me perception checks.
I'm proficient, so that's with advantage, yeah?
Not necessarily. unless something gives you, like Finn has perception advantage, but unless something expressly gives you advantage, not necessarily.
I mean, I imagine this
20.
is his house, so
I will give.
30-20.
I would give both Nika and Desmond advantage on this. You know that you spent a lot of time here.
Not so
Nat
great for me. I got a
25 for Nika.
13.
Yes, Tatiana.
To balance Valentine's nat 20, I rolled a nat 1.
I'm gonna put that one in my back pocket till the dramatically appropriate moment. Thank you.
I don't like that.
Yeah, the Tatiana, no idea.
That shadow
all-
sure loves ones. That loves the ones.
It does. You're all pretty certain here as you were looking, except for the temple, which you saw Soth set on fire in explode that night. These structures, some of them look like they've probably been subjected to some low-grade looting and pilfering. Like over time, bandits may have come in and taken things that were obviously of note, but this does not look like a town that was subjected to a raid. And what you all witnessed of Soth is he was not subtle. So there's a possibility that he just killed everyone here, but there's no sign of a protracted battle. Also, the on the far side of town, the graves that he'd summoned the dead out of are still now just open grassy pits where you can see apparently no one ever took the time to reinter them.
Speaking of
What if-
dead, I shall raise my eyes of the grave to see if I can detect any undead presence.
There is an undead presence, and a powerful one. It is on the very edge of your awareness in the direction of the temple or the ruins of the temple.
I'll point it out to the others. There's some sort of undead presence there in the ruins of, I think it's a temple.
We were last there for your wedding day, Nika.
What a fancy funeral.
We should be on our guard. Whatever this is, it's very powerful.
I don't care how powerful it is. My home is in ruins. Where is my brother? And Desmond just walks toward the castle.
Follow.
Is the castle, you might recall, is at the other end of Kashmar. Those were sort of the bookends, the temple, the church and the state, essentially, the temple on one end and the castle on the other. And as you approach, it seems vacant. Again, ivy has come up the sides of the walls. This has clearly been subjected to the most looting. The door sort of hangs on its hinges. But outside of the scurry of the odd creature, Desmond, give me perception with advantage or survival, whichever's higher.
Actually, they both are the same, and I have advantage. Like I'm proficient at both.
Got it.
13, surprisingly.
Excellent. Inside where all of this is taking place, you do you feel like someone's in there. You can catch the scent of someone that is inside the ruin of the castle.
And he just sets out immediately. Someone's here. It had the Armand. He's just gone, just walking off.
Are the rest of us with Desmond? Or...
Oh yeah, you're all together when you hear that exchange. Yeah.
As we approach the castle, I'll do the same thing, raise my eyes of the dead, see if there's an undead presence here.
The only presence that you feel is in the other direction towards the temple. There doesn't seem to be anything here.
I'll remind the others of or I'll let them know that there's nothing here, but we'll follow Desmond's lead. This is his home, after all.
Someone is here. Brother
Would
Uriah,
your
I greatly
brother-
appreciate the information. We will go to the temple after if I see if my brother's in this castle.
Of course.
But would your brother leave your home in such disarray?
My brother knew no other home that I'm aware of. I don't believe my brother would leave. He's not the type, neither am I. For this to happen to me on my wedding night. And he just kind of reaches back and grabs the hilt of the sword. I would never leave. You would find my cold, dead corpse at my home. If I'm to die, I'm to die where I was raised. I'm to die where I would have been king, were it not for my... I was going to say affliction, but I know it's not that. It's more powerful than that.
It's your gift, Desmond.
Exactly that.
Yes.
You would find me here. And the smell comes from that way. And he walks.
I'd like to try something. I knew Desmond's brother.
You know Armand, yep.
As opposed to my usual telepathic messaging, I do have sending as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are familiar, I should be able to try and reach out.
You absolutely could. And what you have up to 25 words.
Mm-hmm.
What would you try and send to Armand? And yes, you do know him well enough.
Armand, we've returned. Where are you? I won't yet tell him that Nika's here. That's too dangerous.
Sure. Valentine, you are aware that this spell will work, that anyone that is on the same plane of existence with you. You do not feel Armand's presence anywhere.
The spell does say, and even to other planes of existence. But it says if it's on a different plane than me. So I guess, yeah, I don't know why it says both. It says any distance and even to other planes of existence, but if the target is on a different plane than you, there's a 5% chance that the message doesn't arrive. That's what it is.
Excellent. Then tell me again, I apologize, even if you paraphrase, because I know you said that off the dome, because this changes things somewhat. What message you are sending to him?
Armand, we have returned. Where are you?
Valentine, you've returned. Oh, that means you're alive. I am not there. Do not seek me out. And that's it.
I'm gonna catch up to Desmond, who I assume is kind of like charging ahead of the party.
Oh yeah, he's not running, but he is walking powerfully.
Desmond, you know that I have many ways to communicate.
Yes.
I reached out to Armand. I heard from him, but he's not here.
If it's not Armand, then who?
He said that
Besides.
he sounded surprised that we were alive. It sounded like he's not here at all.
He didn't say where?
He said not to seek him out, that he is not here and not to look for him, but he sounded relieved that we were alive. I didn't tell him you were here. I don't know who he's with or who that information would be of interest to. Whatever came here that night was looking for you specifically. It did something you did to no one else. I'm not risking putting them back on your trail.
Mm-hmm. Are we far from where Desmond smelled the person residing there?
No, and you've been approaching, and as you get a little closer from inside, you hear, halt, halt! It's in the name of the Drunes and the Naprastyankas, turn back!
It's Naprastyanka.
And also, I am a Drune. My family name is Drunes. If you have words, then you will have them with me.
You hear the screeching of furniture, like something's being moved around inside, like a barricade of some sort. And a moment later, a head in an ill-fitting helmet kind of peeks around the corner, and it is one of the family guard helmet, and it's Master Desmond. My eyes deceive me. And two people appear from inside. They have long, scraggly gray beards now and look very malnourished. But they were two of the house guards. Their names were Harmond and Evans. And they're... He runs like he's going to run up and hug you, but just sort of like stops short a little bit and is like, my lord.
He just... Evans, is that you back there as well?
You see, he's looking at you literally like he's seen a ghost. Yes. We tried to hold the land. It's been difficult, sir, but we fought our hardest. We're all that's left.
The two of you.
Yeah.
And you've done the Drune's family name well. And then he salutes and then immediately pulls out his bag and just like hands them rations. You two look like you haven't eaten in forever. Here, please, have something.
See their eyes widen, but they both compose themselves as they take it carefully and they say, we've caught squirrels in wild game as much as we could, but it's been so difficult as of lately. It's like they've gone from this land, like a shadow hangs over it. Lady Valentine, Miss Tatiana?
I'll also offer one of the rations I usually keep on me for Tatiana.
We could not take a lady's foodstuffs, ma'am.
Harmond, but
please,
if you believe in this family name long enough to hold this castle, take the rations.
He does. He's like, thank you.
I turned
Lady
to
Valentine.
Evans, who I was very friendly with, and I'm about to go to roughhouse him, and then I see how frail he is, and pause and tap his shoulder. It's good to see you.
They look at you, and Evan speaks up kind of quietly, Valentine, and says, Mum, your lands, House Asteria, they've seen a new renaissance. Apparently you had a long lost cousin or some such, or claimed to be.
Describe them to me.
Can't say I laid eyes on him myself. I haven't gone more than an hour's ride in any directions since that night. But from what we have heard from people that would pass by on occasion, there was bandits and brigands and treasure hunters, but on occasion, people just of the town who'd gone their own way and would come back on occasion to check. Those were the tidings I heard as well. We asked everyone about you, Master, but no one had seen you. You or Lord or Armand or Lady Nika. Yeah. We buried her, sir.
Where?
And Desmond says exactly the same time she says, where?
With your ancestors, sir, and hers. That monster destroyed the temple, but not what lay underneath.
Ah, yes. That's where the undead presence is.
We must go pay our
What?
respects.
Harmond, Evans, everything is fine.
Have you looked in the temple lately?
I mean, we heard noises on occasion, but we just thought it was our mind playing tricks. And you saw what that Lord Soth did that night. We were perhaps afraid that maybe he'd return with his armies. In fact, that ultimately was why everyone abandoned the town. We heard things
Where did they all go?
everywhere. Some went to the lands of the Asteria family. That is why we know your fate. But some set sail. Some simply moved. They just left. But
They would abandon this land?
With no ruler, who would they have? This family has been in the Drune's name for generations. Who else but one of our line could lead it or step up
Both gone.
to the cause when Harmon and Evans here are the last two that remain?
And we will continue to defend it to our dying day. Might we? And they both take up their rusty spears now, but you notice they still have been sharpened to a point the best they could. If there's some beast in the temple that allow us to go into battle with you.
Gentlemen, are either of you injured? I am a healer. I can help you. You do seem somewhat malnourished, even with those. Do you like kippers? I have kippers, dried fish.
You would love to. Anything's a welcome change of pace. And no, we're perhaps been some time since we've had a good meal or a full night's sleep, but otherwise, we are currently unharmed.
Desmond,
yes.
Go on.
Yes, brother.
Just Uriah takes Desmond aside and just like, I know these are your bondsmen. They are warriors in your service, but I'm not sure that they are up to fighting currently. They seem a bit sickly.
They've experienced the worst thing that they could ever experience, in that the family they hold to be invincible have been all but decimated, all but turned to dust. They've done everything in their power to retain this land and for our family name. I cannot change their opinion. I cannot tell them anything else. I can only give them what I have and allow them to resume what they've been doing while we tend to whatever it is in the temple.
Yes. I was going to suggest that, yes, they not come with us. I suspect...
they won't.
Oh, good.
It would not be fair, respectful. I can think of a myriad of words to describe the disrespect it would be to request or allow them to continue to follow us. They should stay here. I'll give them the last of my rations, and we go there.
You know, Desmond, their loyalty to you is earned. If you had become the ruler of this land, I think they would have been well served.
Brother Uriah, that is an honor to me. He salutes and bows. But I fear that if I were to have been the person to take control of the kingdom, the same fate that has befallen Armand would likely have befallen me. And since we don't know where he is, and we know where we are, we have to work with what we know. He just taps Brother Uriah on the shoulder and just, Ezra, protect you. We protect each other. Let's go to the temple.
As you turn and are having this side conversation, Tatiana's like, Harmon Evans, of course Desmond would want you to come. You are his guards.
Oh, no.
We could
Tatiana, give me a moment, please. And he just walks up to Harmon and Evans and takes all of his rations and hands it to them.
Oh,
Gentlemen,
you're too generous, sir. What will you eat if you
I will be fine. Since when have you known any of our family to not be fine out in the forest, which is some of what's out there between here and the temple? If I'm hungry shortly, I will eat. I want you two to have what remains of my rations. And I request a favor of you.
Anything.
You have guarded this house. You have respected the lands of this family far beyond any could respect or expect. You are an honor to the Droom's name. And I humbly request that as we go to the temple, I see that you've kept yourselves prepared for battle. We need you to guard here. No matter what you hear, no matter what you see, do not follow. Do you hear me?
You see their chests swell with pride, probably for the first time in years. No matter what, we will hold the family name and the family lands to our death and whatever lay beyond it.
Preferably to not your death, gentlemen. I will do everything in my power to return to you and bring this land to glory once again. To your posts.
Sylvanas be praised. Our prayers are answered. And when they say out loud, Sylvanas be praised, from inside the temple, all of you hear screaming.
Oh dear.
I start running.
As you all are heading... No, please, go ahead, Finn.
No, I was going to say, I pop dread form and actually try to carry Desmond so we can fly and be there faster.
Perfect. It's not very far. It's other end of town, but yes, definitely. While this is all happening,
I'll definitely make armor on the way.
Protection from evil. Protection from evil. Yes.
You are all powering up appropriately. Nahara, Finn, and Uriah, you all recognize something unusual. This place. It feels different. Even though it clearly is sad, it clearly is in a ruin. Tatiana, Desmond, and Valentine clearly seem upset and we're expecting something else. But there is a lightness here that the three of you have never experienced. The crushing, oppressive nature of the mists is all you all have ever known.
Mm-hmm.
The sky is so blue and the sun is so bright. You just feel like you can stand up a little straighter, that this is just a better place, whatever fate has befallen this land.
If this is what this land looks like as desolate, I can't imagine how beautiful it once looked.
Yes, you feel it too, then, as if a great weight has been lifted from our shoulders, yes?
Yes, exactly.
Fen, you sense it?
Yes, and Fen is just, he doesn't know what to do with this feeling.
And you especially, you were born on the prime material. So way, 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 way back in your mind, there's a certain familiarity, but it's been so long. You'd forgotten.
Yeah. Memories later. For now, we need to see what's in that temple.
Yes, yes, you're right.
You all run over there. Desmond, do you draw your weapon on the way?
A weapon that does not contain Nika, of course.
Oh, you're gonna draw the not Nika weapon.
Didn't want to, because Desmond does not want to take chances with.
I would say
anything right now.
As Finn is carrying you over and you're feeling this, you feel something that Finn sees. Frost begins to form on the outside of your sheath. That the blade that has Nika's essence inside of it is holding.
What is this?
And your sword?
No, please go ahead, Finn.
I'm just asking Desmond, is Nika doing this?
Nika, do you have control over this?
Too. It's my land too. I am going to fight by your side.
Enough said. And with that, no questions asked. He just reaches back, grabs the hilt, and to battle we go. And just like tries to take it out as smoothly as possible without injuring Finn in the process.
Yeah,
Obviously.
When you draw it, the blade has a bluish glow to it now, and there is a haze of frost around it. When you look at it, that was not there before.
You're just holding it. Just this is interesting.
As go,
and then he's just ready.
You all approach the temple again. Valentine, Tatiana, and Desmond, and Nika, you were simultaneously both blessed and now cursed to remember how beautiful the temple of Sylvanas was. It was not just the jewel of Koshmar, it was the jewel of the region that had been carefully built up and cultivated over many generations, that has now been burned down to its foundations and beyond some cracked pillars that still stand. In the very faint image from the wedding still painted on the ground of the knot and the 4 points that you all had to stand on. There are the ruins of pews that have cracked over time, many of which you could tell were probably taken for firewood and kindling. But it is, no pun intended, the ghost of what it once was. To Uriah, Nahara, and Finn, it is, of course, a ruin. It clearly has been burned and just obliterated. Chunks of stone are strewn in all directions out from this place. It is difficult to quantify what force must have been able to destroy something that was of this solid of construction and this size. And Brother Uriah, you see strange holy symbols that don't necessarily mean anything to you, but it is clear some sort of nature or sun god was venerated here. But it is not a name that you're familiar with.
I haven't heard my friends from Koshmar mention this deity, have I?
You heard the guards mention Sylvanas heard our prayers, which is something that would have rung in your ears and very much got a reaction. Besides that, no, they have never mentioned the deity.
Can I do an Arcana check?
Absolutely.
All right, and I have advantage on that.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you could always just ask the locals, but yes, you can do it to see what you might know. You actually have a pretty good chance of knowing this, pending what the role is.
I feel like wouldn't Desmond be able to kind of give a little bit of detail on that?
Yeah, I mean, this was. I will leave it up to you. Wait, actually, really, the expert on such things was Nika. So what, if anything? Well, one, Finn had that come out.
Nah, Fenn was asleep that day in Arcana class. I'm just glad I had advantage.
Well, as you enter these ruins, what, if anything, would Nika like to share?
Desmond,
yes.
They said there are treasure hunters coming through here.
Then we hunt for their treasure.
We need to get one thing and make sure it's in our possession.
What thing?
Because it sparked the interest of Aslan.
Ah. Raven's crown.
It's here.
Where? In the temple?
In my mother's tomb.
If that's your mother's tomb, and they buried you where they buried our ancestors, then your tomb is there as well.
We'll need to get to the crypts underneath.
Then to the crypts we go.
Well,
and
we're
Desmond
there.
passes that along to everybody. It's just like, we're going to the crypts. Something we need to get.
I too have a strong interest in the Raven Crown, but perhaps maybe Uriah
Have we-
could do something.
I'm sorry,
with the
the
body?
what?
Had we passed all that along just yet?
Was it? It's up to you. Was that an internal exchange? Because you have the ability to have it have been an external exchange if that was your
I
intent.
felt like it was internal that whole
Okay.
time.
Yeah, I thought it
But,
Okay,
like,
we'll keep that as an internal, but then it was internal. Okay.
and then
Um,
he's gonna pass it on. Like, he just looks at the party and just, we need to get a thing from the crypt beneath the temple. That is where our family's ancestors are buried, and we may find Nika there as well. The thing we need to retrieve is important to Nika, therefore it is important to me. And then he looks at Brother Uriah and just, I would love to tell you, but you understand why I cannot.
Oh, yes. No.
Until we get there.
The thing in the crypt is sufficient. In fact, that sounds like a very scary story. The thing in the crypt.
Thank you for understanding. And then Desmond just walks straight to the crypt with a sword ready. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
As soon as Nahara hears the word crypt, she will cast protection from evil on herself.
Tatiana, you were going to say something?
What are you hiding from us, Desmond? What are we looking for?
You know why I can't say anything specific before we get there. And he just nods at Brother Uriah. He understands. You understand as well.
Shall I do the thing?
Please, Brother Uriah. Now that while he can't hear us, we need the Raven's crown.
I know,
Nika
I told
needs
you.
the Raven's crown. You told
No,
me.
I need the-
Everybody doesn't know this. You
I
need
have-
what?
I told you, it is the thing that will free me from one of my many curses.
The Raven's crown.
That's right.
Nika, this is the first you've heard of this.
Well, you know, there was a
Tatiana.
lot happening. We had to put you in the sword. I wanted to bring it up.
So you know of the Raven's crown, and you want it, yet Nika wants it. Who has requested it?
Well, this is awkward.
Are we done? Can I come back?
No, not yet.
No, not at all.
I told you of my meeting with Lord Soth. I thought I had expressed that he needed. Oh, I told to the group. Sorry, Nika. Lord Soth has chosen me as a. I don't know. He wants to groom me in order to murder me. It's very strange. I will kill him first. But I think it is important that I have the thing that he is after as bait. Of
Then
course,
our plans are aligning.
we as a group can have this thing. I just, well, I did not know it was not made clear to all of you, except for Uriah, of course, for obvious reasons.
Can I
What?
Not
Just
yet?
one. Just one more.
Let's get the crown.
Yes.
Know
Let's.
that we have it. Better it be in our hands than the hands of others.
Very true.
It's weird talking to a sword. I miss your ghost face.
I can
Same.
try and come out, but let's focus on the battle at hand first.
Right. Okay.
Good?
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Yes. All right. So we're looking for a thing in a crypt. And Tatiana, what was that thing you said about a raven crown
No,
earlier?
no.
Raven Crow. She was confused.
Raven crow.
The
It was
crow.
a true discussion.
No,
the
remember
crypt.
there one time I was saved by a raven man. He was very strange, sat in a tree. To the crypt.
All right.
We've never been able to tell the difference between ravens and crows.
Oh, it's the shape of their beak, actually. There's a taxonomic
Do you know
difference.
bird
They are.
facts?
I just put my hand over Uriah's mouth very gently. Later.
Oh, yes, of course.
Later.
I would love to
crypt
talk
is-
bird facts.
Is you all make it to the, you know how to access the crypts. And when the temple was still standing, it was, of course, in one of the side compartments. There was a trapdoor that led down to a staircase that the penitent could go to, which, of course, currently now there is an L-shaped section of a wall that is blown off at the top that you all come around on the other side. There is a trapdoor. And immediately you sense the smell of death, but fresh death. Fresh decay, something that hasn't been dead long, especially to your nose, Desmond, something that's been dead a week or two max.
And he just says that to everybody. Something has died recently,
Yes, sir.
but it's here.
Do my eyes of the dead detect the undead presence? Once I'm within 60 feet of it, I know its exact location.
You, within 60 feet, you are completely aware that these crypts go down probably 40, maybe 50 feet. There's several layers of family members down there, and it is on the lowest level.
Yes, it's beneath us. The lowest level, I think.
Unfortunately, Nika,
crypt-
you know the lowest level is exactly where you have to go.
Does this crypt only belong to your family?
As far as I know, yes.
But
It houses the dead of both of our families for generations.
and you was there. Did we hear that he sensed something down there?
Oh, I believe Brother Uriah shared that part. But it was your intent to make that known, right?
Oh yes, yeah, I was saying that to the group. Yes, it's beneath us. I think a few levels down.
But you haven't had word of any recent deceased family members.
It's been 6 years. I don't think we have any idea who's down here.
Mm-mm.
And then Desmond just opens his eyes wide and just, I hope it's not Armand.
Is it moving, this presence I sense, or is it stationary?
It is moving, and you detect, more importantly, it's pacing. It is going from one end to the other end and back to the other end.
Whatever this is, it is not dormant. It's certainly active. I would describe it as impatiently pacing. It seems to be waiting for something.
Then let's not keep it waiting.
Desmond, presumably you want to open the trapdoor?
I want to look for, like, whether or not it's been trapped. It's obviously a weird situation to say, but yeah, I want to check the trapdoor for traps.
I will just say, for the sake of ease, there's no sign that it's been tampered with outside of exposed to some fire, but it looks like it's held. I will say, give me perception with advantage.
Six.
Seems legit,
Oh,
Desmond.
no. Oh no.
Looks good to me.
Brother Uriah, being the very cautious sort, probably also checks, and he's got observant.
Yeah, then go ahead and roll perception.
That is 16 plus 23.
Brother Uriah, there is dirt and dust and grit and ash a half-inch thick all over the floor here. Not over this trapdoor. You are sure it has been opened relatively recently.
Someone's been through here. The dirt. I think perhaps whatever it is isn't necessarily trapped down there. It might be able to come and go as it pleases.
Desmond just to verify, something died within the last week. Brother Uriah, you said you sensed something undead down there.
Yes.
Whatever it is, it hasn't been waiting long.
Not necessarily. If it is undead, it might have killed someone else and brought them back here to feed on. Some undead do that. Ghouls, ghasts, that sort of thing.
Either way, we need to be to the bottom of the crypt to get what we need to get anyways. So I don't think we have a choice in waiting.
All right. Shall we?
Indeed, we shall. And right when Desmond hears Fen say "let's," he flips up the trap door and jumps in.
When you flip up the trap door, you immediately see the staircase, and you are all immediately hit with a pungent stench. As not 5 feet down the stairs is a body of somebody that was clearly trying to reach for the trap door when they died, laying on the stairs.
Yes, that's probably the source of the odor. So
You can-
this person
I'd
died
imagine that
relatively recently.
You can tell by their clothes. They're wearing rough spun leather, have packs and pouches and rope and hooks all over them. You think they probably were a grave robber.
I'll try a medicine check for cause of death. And my bonus is that is a 15.
There is no signs of physical trauma. This person, obviously their body is dead and decayed, but they have not been stabbed, they've not been scratched, bitten, anything of the sort. They clearly were struggling at the moment of their death, but there are no physical marks. Their clothes aren't torn, nothing.
I might regret this, but I'm going to turn the body over and look at the face. Is it, well, I see this quite a bit in my line of work from considering where I'm from. Is it sort of in a rictus of fear, like that sort of, oh, it looks like they were frightened to death type thing?
Yes, however, unfortunately, you as a man of science also know that as decay and desiccation sets in, sometimes, the skin retracts and all corpses kind of look a little freaked out. But if you had to guess, they died terrified.
Yes, well, there's that, everyone. Yeah. Downward?
Downward.
Desmond, as you put your first foot over the threshold, you all start to hear crying, like dozens of people crying, maybe hundreds of people, just sobs and wails. The prince, Desmond, Armand, Nika, the temple, Sylvanas, why have you forsaken us, Sylvanas? What have we done to earn your ire? This was supposed to be the most wonderful of days. And it just echoes all coming out of the crypt.
And Desmond just calls down, in the name of the Droons family name, I beg of you. Why are you crying? And just still charging down the stairs.
Brother Uriah, you are sure whatever it is heads towards the stairs when he calls out.
It's heard you. It's coming.
Desmond, as you run down the stairs, down at the bottom, you see what looks like a robed figure standing there. You can't make out its face or its hands. And you hear these crying echoes coming from all directions. You hear, sorry, Lady Droon, we don't know what fate befell your sons, but we must maintain hope. We must. What? You fool! Who can speak of hope at a time like this? There is no hope. The gods have forsaken us. And you see a bony skeletal hand just points at you, Desmond, and you just hear voices repeating, the gods have forsaken us, and crying. It doesn't move. Other than that, it just stands at the bottom of the stairs, pointing.
Desmond's just there holding his sword and just, why are you causing these sounds? It seems to be from you. There seem to be no people here. Why?
You hear Valentine's voice very softly echo, crying, Nika. And Tatiana wailing like she did that night, screaming Nika's name into the heavens. Those of you that are there are sure that was that night. That was what you said that night. Mixed in. Oh, yeah.
This has happened before. This night. It's the night.
Yeah.
Seems to be replaying all the cries of grief. If that is what you said that night.
It is.
Do we see
Desmond.
ourselves or just hear it?
You all, once you kind of catch up a little bit to Desmond, you all see this figure that is completely hooded other than this bony hand and finger pointing. And you hear just these voices just bombarding all of you from all sides.
Just hearing that Desmond trying to be calm is just, my name is Desmond Drooms. This is my family crypt. You are playing to me the night that our land's lives have changed. Everyone here has experienced great trauma. Why do you play these thoughts in our mind? And if you play these thoughts, if you play these sounds, then you know who killed Veronica. Who?
Veronica, give me nature or history or religion, any of those things, whichever is higher, and you can give it to me with advantage, especially having spent some time in Mordant, both living as a non-corporeal person and interacting with one Rudolph Van Richten.
That's a 21.
Nika, as he's pointing the blade at this thing that is pointing at him, you think you know what this is. It is a gallows speaker. It is a conglomeration of sadness and grief, like detritus in a river building up and forming a natural dam just from all the junk that just coagulates in a place. The unspeakable torment of that night, and clearly the nights that came afterwards, have given rise to whatever this is. It is not one of your ancestors returned to life. It is the manifested essence of grief.
Desmond, this isn't one of our own. This is what has happened to the land. Pulled into itself and becomes this.
Our land became this? Death?
The hurt, the pain, the loss.
And just hearing that, Desmond looks at the group and just, you heard that, yeah?
If you wanted them to hear it, they heard it. Vero, was it your
sorry.
intent to say that aloud, Veronica?
No, it was out loud for everyone.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Nevertheless, it does seem to detect as undead. With your leave, I could try to turn it.
Would that provoke it, Brother Uriah?
If it works, it should flee before us, and then we can retrieve whatever it is we're here to get.
Before you do that, Desmond just looks straight into the darkness where its hood covers where its face would be, and just, we wish you no harm. This is my family crypt. I'm here to retrieve something that is of grave importance. If you can pass to me, to any of us, the details of who killed our friends and family, we would greatly appreciate it, and we will be on our way.
You see the head of it tilts, and it steps back, and it points to something to the right that you can't see, because you can kind of see where then the crypt goes off to the left and to the right. It points to the right, which, Nika, you know is the direction that your family would have been. And it turns and it walks towards the left, which, Desmond, you know is the direction your family would have been. It just turns and moves out of view.
You pointed there. It left us be. We should probably look.
Let's move quickly.
Yes, wise advice.
And Desmond just like takes off on a tear just down that way.
As you come down, what does your family crypt look like, Nika? Outside of no one having come down here in some time, it is otherwise unharmed.
It is, as one would expect in terms of variety of stone, marble especially, but the details are all leaves and plants, and it's basically, there's barely a hard edge evident. It's very soft and very natural, and it almost looks like a forest clearing in the mist, the early foggy morning, than it would a cold stone place underground. And the closer you get to her family plots, the more ornate and the more forest-like these levels become.
You also see, as you get down here, on the ground, there are bodies of at least 2 more of these would-be grave robbers. But these ones, even though they're dressed similarly to the other one, it is like they are corpses that are almost hundreds of years old. Like they have been, something was taken to them down to, they are just desiccated husks. So perhaps it was whatever this was that killed them and continued to feed on them somehow while the third one tried to escape. As you go down there, the first place you see is your mother's tomb, Nika, where you know hidden in an alcove is what you've come to seek.
Desmond,
Yes.
use your newfound language.
And then
That alcove?
And what about it?
Think about our wedding ceremony. Directions. Press on the symbols. It's going to open up a hidden compartment in that alcove.
Good to know. Where to? Where should I go?
Straight behind the crypt.
And Desmond just walks straight to it. He doesn't need any other words. The second she says straight behind the crypt, he's on the way.
And there's this symbol that sits in this sort of shelf of the alcove. And it almost looks like a compass rose with various points coming out, pointing in different directions. And you see in Sylvan various directional points written in there.
And Desmond just reads them in Sylvan aloud.
As you pressed in the order in which you spoke at the wedding, the east, the south, the west, and the north, there is a soft click. And the panel opens up, and inside there is a box surrounded by now dried and dead leaves that would have been rose petals and pretty flowers and things of that nature at one point. What does the box look like?
It's very plain. It is a simple wood. It has a lid that locks on to its base just through tension. No mechanical devices. It's extremely unassuming. You wouldn't know that something of great value was inside there, and it was quite intentionally done that way.
Desmond reaches out, just grabs the box and holds it and just asks Nika, "Is this what we're here for?" And then he just kind of like opens the lid to see.
Inside, it is difficult to make out this in this light, but there is a black iron crown inside.
Is this it, Nika?
This is it.
Then we need to leave. Now,
Where do we need to go?
the only place I can think of that would even remotely be safe is the carnival.
Nika, you hear a voice coming from the other direction, where you know the gallows speaker left and went. It's the voice of Kuksha, priestess of Sylvanas who perform your wedding ceremony. And she says in Sylvan that you understand, and Desmond, you understand. The rest of you just hear this elaborate language coming out of the other side. Oh, my darling Nika. I couldn't protect you, but I will not leave you here. I know this is where your family rests, but untold generations of your family lay sleeping on the other side. I'll take you home to your family. This is no place for you to rest.
And hearing that, Desmond just puts his head down and just like wipes a single tear.
What was it? What was it saying?
Nika, I feel that is for you to say. You may be muted.
She can take me home.
She can take you home.
Well, that she already had taken you home. This would have been a memory. Everything it's saying is in the past.
Way to, we can get out of here. We need to go back up to the upper portion of the temple. The center of the temple where the ceremonies are held.
Okay.
It can
And
take
with
us to
that-
the Feywild.
The Feywild.
What?
Why the Feywild?
If you have an archfey involved, think about it.
Of course, you said your people came from the Feywild originally,
Yes, my mother and her entire family.
and she took your body. She took it home. Yes. All right then.
Just wait a minute. If we take the mists and end up in the Feywild, how are we assured that we will that we can return?
You won't be taking the mists.
How is that?
There's a portal.
And there, knowing that there is a way to lands untold just upstairs, is a good place for us to stop.